You know, some say this pandemic is kind of like the new normal, our new reality. Hey folks, let's unpack that. You like my outfit? I thought I would give something kind of like not PJs, but very comfortable. Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Unpack That. Well, sort of. I wouldn't call this an official episode. First of all, because this is an audio format or podcast format, it's on a YouTube video, so that's a little bit weird. And also, we're kind of missing one of our co-hosts. I really miss Jada, but I guess I'm just doing it solo today. So, I kind of wanted to discuss something that's been on all of our minds recently, probably. And I'm coming from you live from my bedroom. So I hope you guys like the little decor and a glimpse into my lifestyle a little bit. Maybe this gives you a sense of comfort. Like it's just like a POV and we're just chilling out, having a little chat. I'm doing too much hand movement. Like we're chilling out and we're having a little chat. So like if you see a lot of cuts, that's me changing my mind or just not liking how this comes out because it's more intimidating to have your face shown while you speak. But we're getting aside from the point. Today, I kind of wanted to go into depth about our society's newfound passion for normalizing this new situation we're in. So, like, missing normality. That's fine. That's valid. I miss hanging out, being with my friends. God, I even miss coming on campus. Never thought I'd say that as a commuter. But I think there's an issue when we stop from missing normalcy into trying to force ourselves into thinking we are experiencing normalcy in the moment. So, what does upholding normalcy, even when things aren't normal, even look like? Well, from my perspective and what I've seen so far, I think it takes place when we try to conduct business as usual and we expect business to go as usual. When we feel like, oh, even though I'm in my house, I'm gonna get all of these things that I set out for myself to do. I'm gonna get them done all at the right timelines, and nothing's gonna stop me. What's the difference? I'm in my house now. It should be easier. I think we uphold that expectation, not just for ourselves, but like for others as well. I think it also takes form of this continuous barrage of positivity. And there's nothing wrong with being positive. A shout out to all you positive thinkers out there. I'm sure your mental fortitude is amazing. I'm talking about we're not really giving space for us to be honest in these times. We don't really give ourselves an area, a time, a place to talk about how things have negatively impacted us. Talking about it in a very substantial way. Because there's one thing to have a story on your Instagram saying, this is how COVID-19 negatively impacts these groups of people and these groups of people and these groups of people. And then it's a whole other area to sit down and say, hey, this is how I've been impacted and actually I'm not doing great and I don't think this deadline is this due date of the when we get out is coming close enough or coming fast enough. And I don't know if we're scared to openly talk about it or if we're scared of harming others when we talk about it. I've gone on like a little tangent about what my thoughts are on this and what normalcy is. But some of you may be thinking, Jess, what are you talking about? I don't see this at all. Like, tell me exactly when has this happened? And I think it's happened in three specific areas that really impact our lives specifically. I'm talking in the view of a Suffolk student or a college student that is just trying to make it through the school year. So I think it impacts our school lives that have changed drastically, our work lives that have changed or have just disappeared, and then thirdly, our mental health. I feel like I'm going to go a lot more into mental health than the other ones because I think that is something that's sticking with us throughout the entire time. But I'll save that for last so that way I don't bore you guys too much. Okay, number one, school life. I feel like I'm gonna really sell y'all with this one because I feel like it's very easy to identify with the pressure of keeping up with all the schoolwork in our current conditions. I think I got this mostly from just listening at my classmates and how they discuss how things have been going, because honestly, whenever a teacher in our Zoom class is like, so how are you guys? We're just like, weak thumbs up. I don't really want to say it out loud, but also I feel like I'm betraying myself when I say everything's great. So I think, what do I think? What do I say so? I think a lot. I don't know why I say so. I think a lot. We are having this continuous, endless line of due dates that are just not going anywhere. And I think where there's this assumption that once you're at home, you can just focus way more than any other area of your life. Like, if you're in school, you can't really get homework done. So therefore, if you're at home and you're stuck at home, then you're gonna get so much homework done, and like you're gonna be an unbelievably great student. And like if you have your perfect little setup and you have everything written down, procrastination won't even exist anymore. I just think that's unrealistic, and it's totally false. I'm a total type A person. I write down every due date I have. I try to plan my hours and everything. And it seems like once social distancing started, it's all fallen apart. I can't do anything on time. Do you know how late I've been to all of my assignments? I used to be such a good student. I feel rebellious, but really, it's just hard to focus at home. And it's hard not to think about what's going on outside and the fact that we can't even go outside. So, I'm sorry if I can't give you a perfect essay right now, Professor. I just don't think I'm mentally here to do that. And even if Suffolk has changed the whole grading system to a pass-fail system, which is amazing, I commend you for that. It's also a double-edged sword, is that the saying? I hope I'm saying it right. With those who are trying to go into graduate school. We can't put pass fail on some of our classes because they're required. So when we apply for graduate school, they actually need that grade. So we still have the pressures of taking this class in this current system, but we don't have the leeway of taking that pass fail. And even if you do take that pass fail, it seems like we've already been hit. So we're in the aftermath of having our grades already be negatively impacted. And I know for some students, they just wish to take the entire semester over because they just didn't do the best that they think they could. And who wants to have a grade based on a half-baked semester? I don't say this to put the professors on a spotlight in the hot chair or whatever. I understand it's difficult. From a departmental, is that the word? So from a department perspective, I've had professors tell me that they have a credit minimum to meet for each class they do that semester. So when your entire semester gets changed and you've only had so much time to fix things and you're worried that you're going to meet the credits, you do what you can. And I understand. Fine, give me the assignment so that way you can meet the requirements of your teacher's things or whatever. I'm not a professor. I don't educate. I just am a student. I learn. I don't educate, I learn. So I understand that. But also, I don't think we should sit here and pretend that online schooling is anywhere near the equivalent of quality of on campus schooling. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not that great to just have to email my professor whenever I need help with something, or like have to schedule a Zoom call. It was so much easier just being able to come up to my professor after class, or even raise my hand normally during class. Have y'all tried raising your hand in Zoom or just trying to speak up? I'm sorry, I'm socially awkward. Every time I try to speak during my class, I end up interrupting someone or I'm just not heard at all because I have a squeaky mouse voice. So, I don't know, I feel like I just don't get the same chance. I don't get the same quality. And I hope that's how others feel as well. I don't want to be alone in this. And I don't think it's us just pretending that online school is the equivalent of on campus schooling. There's been articles in the journal that talk about how things have been difficult for arts and design students to take their courses when they don't even have the right materials. Or, like, I can't even imagine how theater students are doing. They can't even perform. They don't have a stage. They're at home. What are they going to do? Perform in front of the mirror? I mean, I do that all the time. Am I a theater major now? That was so mean. I'm sorry. But I just, it kind of creates a sense of hopelessness. And I'm a senior. This is my last semester. This is how am I supposed to finish it off? I hope I get good grades. I'm trying to boost up my GPA for graduate school. And if I have to go to graduate school online, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I mean, that's absurd. Okay, 2. Work. I think this is a can of worms for anybody that has or had past tense a job. So before COVID-19, I had 3 jobs. I was a lab assistant at the Department of Biology. I'm still a DPE at the Center for Student Diversity and Inclusion, and I'm a veterinary assistant. Won't say the business. Kind of against the rules for me to do that and be like on social media and stuff. So in my veterinary assistant job, I'm technically considered an essential worker. How cute! Interesting title. Makes me, increase my self-confidence and stuff like that. Not really. It's hard being an essential worker. I mean, the veterinary practice is technically a service. We are there to serve people. But the thing about people is that once they are put in a harsh situation, such as a pandemic, people don't become as nice as they used to be or usually were. And also, I need a cute little letter to leave the house every time I go to my shift. And every time I go to my shift, I have this continuous fear of catching COVID-19. And then if I catch it and I go home, then my grandmother will catch it. And she already has pre-existing conditions. And you see where I'm going here. Let's not also mention that I don't have a hazard pay. Not great. But it's not as bad as some of my other fellow classmates who have lost their jobs entirely because they were not considered an essential worker. And I think we don't talk about that enough. We're like, oh dang, people are getting laid off. That sucks. Or we should help them and pay money to their Venmo and their GoFundMe. And I think we need to actually talk about the implications of what it means to lose your job. I mean, think about it. Once this whole thing ends, they will have to re-enter the whole job market all over again. And it takes forever to get a job, especially in the year of our Lord 2020. Are you kidding me? It takes months, weeks at best. And if you're a student, more likely than not, you probably don't live on campus, or you live on campus and you're trying to pay off that. And if you don't have a job and you're expected to continue life as you usually do, how? With what money? With what funds? I don't think we talk about the fact that you still have to pay for food and lighting. Well, in some states, listen, we're not Florida. We're not forcing people to pay their water bill and electric bill. Now we're doing payment plans. But also, the thing about those payment plans is they go into effect right as the social distancing lockdown thing ends. So I don't think people are going to get their jobs back by then. So then what do we do then? I don't I don't know what people would do then. I'm hella privileged. I still have my job. Thank God. But like, I don't know. Sound off in the comments. What do you think what will happen? I don't think any good things will happen. And I just am not a fan of this whole capitalist regime of, oh, fuck people that don't have money. You know, like, yeah, things are hard, but also, like, we need to keep the economy going. What the hell? I'm sorry, are you okay? You do understand that human lives are invaluable, correct? But that's enough about my rant. I'm just saying that, like, people are losing their jobs and we don't really have an option for them after the fact. We just kind of just give them a sad pat on the back. I'm just glad Suffolk has allowed jobs or work study to continue or to be paid back in some form. That's how it's been in my department. I don't know how it's been in the other departments. You guys can let me know. I would love to know. Yeah, but I do know that Suffolk is providing resources. Suffolk Cares is providing food. It's still open. I know that Center for Student Diversity and Inclusion, we are posting continuous resources for people, and I think it's great. But also, like, nobody asked for this. Nobody signed up for this. Nobody signed up to be put in this type of situation and to be forced themselves to look for resources or scavenge around for survival. So it's cool and all, but like, honestly, I just prefer if things were normal, ironically enough. Part 3. And would you look at that? The sun is still out. It won't be for long because for this part, it's really long, like 2 pages. I'm sorry, I just have a lot to say. And mental health. I wrote this as, mind you, I wrote this at midnight, so this might not make a lot of sense. I wrote, i.e. why I'm trying really hard to not post anything on Instagram, ... ellipses, and failing because tagging games are addicting, and I'm starved for human attention. No, very literally, there's an I think I pointed at the right part. Cameras don't make sense. So you can tell I was pretty distressed while writing this. I critique social media a lot, mostly because I just can't catch along to it, so maybe I'm just a little bit jealous of people that do get it. Enough about my internal personal problems. I just have an issue with like consistently positive vibes going around on social media, which I get it because it's like you're supposed to show the best side of yourself on Instagram, and then on Twitter you can be dirty and nasty. That's how I play it anyways. Don't ask me for my Twitter, I won't give it to you. But I think there is an issue in continuously staying positive and trying to show your best self in times like this when you're stuck with yourself all the time. At least Instagram before, it was pictures of you and your friends all looking awesome and cool, and it was like you make a time of it and it's great. But now it's just like really sad because it's like positive quotes, you know. One day things will get good. Really hanging out there for May or June or July or August or 2025, and we just see, instead of new pictures, we see old pictures, and we just hear, yeah, remember the good times, and it's like, yeah, I remember the good times, but we're not in good times right now. Can you please stop reminding me of them? Like, every time I get up there. And when we keep getting hit with that positive, it alienates those that are feeling negative. You know, if you feel sad, you're like, okay, well, obviously I can't be on social media right now because nobody wants it. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm probably gonna make other people sad and bring down the mood, and nobody wants a mood killer. And the thing about social media right now is that it's kind of our lifeline to our friendships. We have our group chats on there. We got our little DMs on there with tagging games and stuff like that. And as someone who has online friendships, multiple of them, I am a big fan of them. Ew, that was cringy. Pretend I didn't do that. But I'm a big fan of having online friendships and being friends with people in different states and countries, and it's amazing. And also I have physical, friends IRL, and those are great because you can hug your friends, or I don't really hug, so fun high fives and making stupid jokes together outside at the movies or something. And then neither of them are bad to have alone. The issue lies is when you have one suddenly taken away from you, and then you kind of feel starved from that area of your life that's being gone. Imagine if every day you had a grilled cheese sandwich and you didn't get sick of it because you loved it and it's your thing, and then suddenly you become lactose intolerant and you can't have it anymore. You kind of feel sad, right? You remember the good times and now you can't have it anymore. And I don't think we're letting people say, hey, that sucks that we can't have it anymore. Or, yeah, isn't our friendship a little bit different now? Don't you guys kind of feel a little bit of a disconnect? And I'm kind of cringing because I got to that point via grilled cheese sandwiches, and I didn't write that down. That just came from my brain worms. Why? But you get what I'm saying, right? That we get this feeling of loneliness and of solitude, but we're not allowed to have it because online we're supposed to just show our best selves and that's it. And I think that's not fair. Personally, I already suck at texting in group chats in general. I do it on my own time, but I feel like the more I'm away from my IRL and real life friends, school friends, the more I feel less inclined to respond or participate because I feel so detached from that aspect of my life. And I love my friends, but I just can't get that connection anymore. And it sucks. And maybe it's just me. Also, time for my hot call out. Okay, listen up, kiddies. Listen up loud and clear, because I feel like not enough people are hearing this, and they really, really, really need to hear this. When you see all those posts, those quarantine checklists, what you can do to keep sane in isolation, they always say, check in on your friends. And I think that's a really heavy thing to imply that people should be doing often and all the time. Because I don't think people really understand what it means to check in on your friends well or substantially. When we say check in on your friends, it's not just saying you should just send an how are you text and then you get the gold star for bestest friend in the whole world because you sent a text because automatically you care and they should be bowing at your feet because you sent that text. Look at you go, bud. Honestly, asking someone how are you when things aren't going great, that's a very heavy question. It's a very loaded question. And I don't think some of us are ready to have those conversations. When you are going to check in on your friend, I want you to remember this. You need to mentally prepare yourself. I'm going to read off my list because I feel like I said it nicer here. So, you need to mentally prepare yourself. Are you in the mental state to handle the outcome if your friend says, actually, I'm not okay, or I need help, I don't think I'm okay, I don't think I can be alone, or this is an emergency? Can you handle that? Can you sufficiently be able to be there for them and respond for them in that kind of situation? And I want you to look internally and think to yourself, are you doing this check-in because you really want to check in on your friend? Or are you doing it because a post told you to? Or because you want to vent? Or because you are feeling lonely? I see that with a lot of my friends have been telling me is that people are checking in, but they're not really checking with them. They're checking themselves in. They're playing this whole tragedy Olympics where once they ask that person how they're feeling, they're like, oh, that sucks, but let me give you a whole lowdown about what's happening in my life and how bad it is. And you're valid for having bad experiences, but you started that conversation to have with them. And it's not fair. It's not right. So you're not a bad person if you've done this. It's okay if you did that inadvertently and you just couldn't handle it because you were really excited and you really wanted someone to talk to, or you just had to let it out and you couldn't keep it in. But I want you to remember next time. I want you to think, and I want you to, when you're checking in, to be honest about the intent of the conversation. When you are not honest and you give people this false idea that you want to listen to them when you really don't, I think that's more harmful than helpful. Honestly, I'd rather nobody talk to me than I become jaded from having people burn me so much via text of all things. And I said this one thing, and I think it's really going to ring true for a lot of you. I said, it is not your responsibility to check in, so be responsible when doing so. You don't have to check in with your friends. It's not your job, it's not your duty. It's nice, it's kind, it's a great thing. But if you're not in the mental state to do so, it's not your job, and you're not going to be negatively seen for not doing it enough. And if somebody is calling you out and being harsh to you because they're like, you never check in with me, or you never, ask me how I'm feeling, that's a red flag. That is a red flag, because people need to understand that you have needs as well. And I hope you keep that grain of salt with you, because I've had people do that to me, and I wish I knew that before, because that would have saved me from a world of trouble, let me tell you. But I'm not going to get into that. So let's just move on. As you can see, the room is slowly becoming darker. If you were here with me, you would see that there's a beautiful sunset out there, but I'm really not going to open the curtains because I am lazy. But thank you for listening so far, because we are in the home stretch, baby. We're at the end. Look, my notes still continue after this. You'll be free. God, I'm really self-deprecating. I'm sorry you have to hear this. So I'm going to leave you off with this little tidbit that I came to at the end when trying to wrap this all neatly in a bow. I said, I think, and I truly do believe, that venting and expressing emotion is a human necessity. And when you hold information in, no matter how hard you try, it's going to flood out. And it's going to be very unhealthy and difficult to deal with when the dam breaks. And when you're social isolating, all you have is yourself. Even if you live with people, you are still going to be very much with yourself most of the time. And if you're neurodivergent, or as another way of saying having like mental health issues or depression and anxiety and the other things among that may fall within that umbrella of neurodivergency, it's difficult to be with yourself all the time without any distractions. If honestly, for some of people, it's dangerous. And I don't know if I could handle being with myself all the time. I have depression and I have anxiety, and I try really hard to balance it and find ways to deal with it healthily. So, my way of dealing with it healthily is allowing yourself to feel. My therapist used to tell me that when you're hit with a consistent thought, you let that emotion hit you. You don't let it build up, but then you teach yourself to hold and to let it go. You let it exist. And then as things that exist, they move and they go. You can't force yourself to be positive when you're not feeling positive. I say, be angry, be lonely, be sad, be confused. And some may say, Jess, you can't encourage people to feel negative and be negative. It's not helping anybody. And I say, who said your emotions are of service to anybody else but yourself? Your emotions belong to you. And as long as you're not harming others in that process, as long as you're not using it as an excuse to hurt others, then I think that it's okay to do so. I think it's caring for yourself. And you should be kind unto thy neighbor, or however the Bible says it, because you are your neighbor now. When you're in your room and it's nobody else, you're your neighbor. And you need to make sure they're okay, and you need to make sure you're okay. So, thank you for sitting here as we unpack that. I'll see y'all soon, I guess. Bye to whoever's listening.